what I learned is successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people are not. So I'm successful because I'm willing to do what you ain't willing to do. I'm willing to get up early. I'm willing to stay late. I'm willing to do that over again. And when I don't feel like doing it, I get up and I do it again. And that difference between me and you. I'm gonna keep going when I don't feel like going. You wanna go as long as it's comfortable and convenient. But then you wonder why you ain't got what I got. You ain't going where I'm going.
Welcome to Closing Gap Podcast. I am your co-host, Mr. Eddie Richardson, here with our host and owner of Hamilton Wealth Advisors, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton. How you doing today, my brother?
Hey, I'm blessed and highly favored.
As always, good to hear, and you're tuned in to another righteous and holy episode of Closing the Gap Podcast, where we strive to give you the truth about wealth. And today, well, just to be honest, man, we struggled with titling it. You know what I'm saying? It was a struggle, but I think I think the title for this that we settled in is seasonal control. And the premise behind that is in life, you go through seasons.
Absolutely.
Right? You got winter, spring, summer, fall seasons of weather. We're having a change of season.
Yes.
Right now. Everything in life, there are seasons to it. And Ecclesiastes chapter 3 speaks about seasons, and various things there, how there's a season for everything in life. And here, as we begin to talk about your financial health and your faith, we want to talk about how you need to manage your seasons, how you need to control the seasons that you are going through in the various stages of your life. We know, Wilbur, we have listeners that spread the gamut of age. Mm-hmm. So when we're speaking, we know that some people are in their spring season. Mm-hmm. And the spring season is a time of planting seeds. It's a time of that. Then you have some people that are in their summer season. They're in the hottest time of their life. They're in the prime of their life, right?
I'm in the summer.
I'll evaluate my season after we get through the podcast. And then you have some people that are in the harvest season, the fall season, and then some people are in their winter season. And the thing about it is, no matter where you are right now, you're going to go through each one of those seasons just by virtue of age.
Absolutely.
All right. By virtue of age, you're going to go through those seasons, but then also you're going to go through those seasons in terms of your earning potential.
Absolutely.
All right. In terms of your earning potential, you're going to go through various seasons. And so what we want to do here at Closing the Gap Podcast today is to help you be able to control each one of those seasons that you are going through. Mm-hmm. Controlling your retirement.
Absolutely.
Right? Controlling your investments, controlling your retirement future.
Yes.
That's another facet of retirement, Will. It is you can retire, but then what does that future look like?
Absolutely. Well, a lot of times, I tell people, most people don't plan to fail, but they do fail to plan. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's been our theme really of the year.
All year.
Is, write it down and make it plain. Make sure that you have a plan of action that you can follow, that you can, evaluate, that you continue to, add to, make additions and changes to. We talked about in the previous episodes, make sure we lay that solid foundation.
Correct.
Because the foundation is shoddy. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, the house is going to come tumbling down. Yeah. So we want to make sure we build a house on solid foundation. We want to build a house on rock, not on sand. So just making sure that we have that solid foundation that everything can build upon. Yeah. Because we can always add additional room to the house.
That's fair.
We can always build another level on top of the current level if we got a solid foundation. So making sure that we understand that, we have a foundation, we have a plan. We've evaluated that plan. We continue to analyze that plan, but making sure that plan is built for us. Mm-hmm. All too often, in life, a lot of times we build plans for ourselves according to what we've seen somebody else do. Mm-hmm. Or we build our plans based on what we saw, someone else receive or have, or we end up being somewhat covetous of someone else's gifts or blessings. And we say, well, we start building our life around what they received, as opposed to making sure that we have built our life upon what God wants us to have. Yeah. So making sure that, we have that plan that we follow that's been customized to our lives based on what we've communicated with God we want to have, and making sure that all that is in alignment, and then obviously working with a professional. Mm-hmm. You hear us talk about this over and over again. We're big on getting professional help. Yeah. All too many times in life, people are taking advice from people who are not seasoned professionals, people who are not experts, people who are not licensed, they're not certified. Making sure that you get professional advice from someone who's been there and done that.
That's right.
Making sure you're getting advice from someone who's helped somebody else. Not taking that water cooler advice, not taking that advice from your cousin, sister, mom, and them friend who did it for a little while, but decided they want to change and go do something else. I'm not saying that person can't be intelligent. That person may not be a bright individual, but trusting your financial future in the hands of someone who does not handle financial futures for a living can be dangerous to your future.
That's right. So see, that's why we entitled it Season of Control. How do you control those seasons? And what Wilbert has just explained to you is what we strive to do here is to help you, to aid you, to assist you along the journey. Right? Professional advice is the key, because there's all type of advice that you can receive, and there's nothing wrong with you gathering information.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're wise enough to read the book, if you're wise enough to study on your own, then by all means do so, because we do believe, as you said, Will, but everybody has various gifts and talents. You know what I'm saying? And Scripture even speaks to that end, that we all have various gifts and talents. And some people, you may be gifted to be able to handle it on your own, and that is fine. And we don't want to knock that at all. We encourage that, as a matter of fact, because if that's the case, then we know that God has endowed you that level of knowledge to be able to do it on your own.
Yes.
But for those of you that are in a different season, a varied season, then we want you to come to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, have a sit down, have a talk, and let's lay out the plan that we've been talking about all year to get you to where you need to be while you are in whatever season of life you are in currently. You need to gain control of your situation.
Yes.
Oftentimes how would I say it? Well, I want to be correct in this. I was about to.
We ain't got to be politically
about
correct all the time. And I say this when sometimes, a lot of times, because there's seasons in life, because there's, seasons of change. A lot of times we can overestimate our own personal intelligence. And even for those of us who are very super bright and intelligent when it comes to how to invest our money.
Yes.
And see, we'll take that a lot of times and think, I know how to handle my financial future going forward, when investing your money is only a piece of the financial plan. It's not everything that goes into the financial plan. So even those of you who are bright and intelligent in certain areas, but there are multiple areas. This is why it's always important to make sure you're working with a professional, because that professional is going to have access to other professionals. They're going to have access to more information. So now, when we're evaluating the plan as Hamilton Wealth Advisors, as a financial advisor, I'm not just looking at your investment portfolio. I'm looking at how the taxes are going to be affected to you personally from your investment portfolio. I'm looking at how to de-risk your portfolio. I'm looking at what we need to have in place to actually put in place that estate plan, so when we enter into that different season of life, that we've accounted for it. Because this way you grow your money is not always the best way to take income from your money. So we got that financial plan, but inside of that financial plan, inside of the investment portfolio, we got an income plan. We got an estate plan. We have to have a health care plan. What's going to happen? People are living longer. If we're living longer, that means there's going to be more costs to be paid from a health standpoint. That means we're going to go to the doctor more. That means we may have to pay for more medication for a longer period of time. That may be we need to pay more for assisted living, home health care. So all these costs are adding up, but you've only accounted for the investment portion. Because see, that's the sexy portion everybody like to talk about. So everybody's always talking to me, Mr. Hamilton, what should I invest in? What should I do? And I'm like, well, that's a piece of the conversation. And that's a part of the conversation we definitely have. And we address that part. But know that what happens on all too often, and what I run into as a professional, is I meet people that say, well, I know how to do what you do. And I'm saying, not really. And I say, well, you might be good at this piece, but I'm actually an expert at doing all of the pieces. My job as a financial advisor is see the end in the beginning. And I'm going to look at it and say, okay, well, this investment leads into this income plan. This income plan has to cover this healthcare plan. This healthcare leads into what's going to be left for the estate plan. And the estate is what's going to be left to the next generation. Because I want to teach my community how to create generational wealth. So I can't miss a piece of the puzzle. All of these things have to be working together in unison to create generational wealth. And see, that's why we have a lack of wealth in our community, because we got a lot of people that have become very astute, have become bright when it comes to making the money.
Yes.
But see, making the money is only a piece of it. We have the greatest earning potential we've ever had as a community.
Okay.
So we're doing better, but we're not doing the best. They're doing the best. And I'm going to stay there, because we're going to leave it politically correct for now. I'm saying the best because, not because they out earn us on a per couple basis. They're doing the best because they understand how to transition. They understand the things that need to be implemented to help transfer more wealth. They understand the value of the right type of life insurance, term versus permanent. They understand having long-term care. They understand the value of having a plan. They understand the value of having a financial advisor, the value of having a CPA or tax strategist, not just a tax preparer. So we think of things as, oh, well, first thing we ask about a professional is how much do they charge? Well, when you really should be looking at how much value do they create? See, I'm okay paying 3 times more for the same work if it gives me 10 times the value on the back end. Right. So we want to pay $250 for the taxes to get done to get the max refund versus saying, how do I lower the amount that I would have given them in the first place? Well, why did I give the government so much money in the beginning? Is there a way for me to restructure, to strategize, so I can actually keep more? Because at the end of the day, the financial advisor's role and responsibility is to make sure I get the most amount of money in my clients' hands for them to enjoy life from now into kingdom come.
Amen. Amen. It's from now to kingdom come. And those are 2 different seasons. The now season.
Yes.
Where are you now? And then kingdom is going to come. And where will you be in that season is key. And we want to be able to give you all that you can to be able to control each one of those seasons. Isaiah chapter 50, Will, I think is key here, where the prophet says that the Lord God has given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary. I think that's key for us here today, is to let the people know that we are not just coming based off of strictly book learning, training, from that perspective, right? Although that is what we are doing. But in addition to that, we're coming as the prophet. We're coming as one that is learned from God. That's why Wilbur is entitled himself the minister of money. But I want to say, I want to switch that, right? I want to switch that. We want to give us some new names. How about that? You're the minister of finance. Okay. And I'll be the minister of faith. Okay. Right. So the 2 MOFs, right? I'm gonna be the minister of faith, and this is the minister of finance. Okay. And key in that is being ministers, meaning that we have received what we give. We've been endowed this from God. This is an anointing. This is what we receive each and every day, and we are fulfilling our calling and our gift. And so within that, we take what the book knowledge that we have, and then we cipher that through the Holy Ghost and let it give us what we need to give to each and every person. This is the key when we're talking about seasonal control, and in seasons of control, is that we are not just allowing the book sense to guide us, but we are allowing God to guide us in what you receive. So when you come here to Hamilton Wealth Advisors, what you will receive is you receive godly financial knowledge, but then also the best training that is out here in the financial markets is what you will receive from Mr. Wilbur Hamilton and Hamilton Wealth Advisors. Within this network, that's what you're going to get, because we don't count it lightly that God has called us to do this work. And then also we understand that each person that we come in contact with is a child of God. Yes. And we want every child of God to be able to have everything that God desires you to have in whatever season of life that you are in. So that's key. We want you to know that. Know that we love you. Know that we understand what you're going through. Know that we want to see you succeed, right, in every season. And that's the thing about being able to control every season, Wilbur, is you can succeed in every season. Yes. I don't think people understand that. Everybody wants the harvest season, right? But they don't understand that the season that you're planting the seed has to be successful first and foremost before you have the seed harvest. The harvest from the
Well, it's like people, they don't want what come with the planting though. See, there's some work that has to be done. And of course, they say, don't get weary in well doing.
Yes.
Well, every now and then I get a little weary. Every now and then I get a little tired because dealing with God's people sometimes can be tiresome. So I understand that. But what I've also understand and learned is that God will always renew my strength.
Yes, sir.
In that season, even though it's not a harvest season for me, there is a harvest to be received in every season. Because even as I'm planting, I'm being rewarded, I'm being reinforced, knowing that there's something going to come. See, we want the gift to look the same all the time. We want to see the gift, touch the gift, feel the gift, and be able to deposit the gift in our bank account at all times. When at all times, that's not the gift being given. A lot of times the gift being given is the process that you're learning how to apply what God has given you to what you're dealing with so you can function better throughout the seasons as they come about. Because we know there's going to be different seasons. Of course, there's a harvest and a planting. Of course, that in between season, the waiting period, the growth period where we got to just go water that plant. We got to water that seed when we're not harvesting just yet. And it's going to be some time that has to pass. So being patient and content while those seeds are growing and being okay if we don't see that seed growing because the seed don't grow on our time.
That's right.
It grows on God's time. And of course, God's time don't always align with our time, but he's always on time. So understanding that, learning that we all have a season and seasons to go through, and what we learn, being able to apply it as we go through life, as life's challenges come through, because you may be going through a process of planting, and every now and then that plow gonna break. Every now and then that horse ain't gonna pull. Every now and then, that arm gonna get a little sore. But we have to continue to keep going and learn how to adjust and move on the fly and continuing the planting that has to be done in order to receive that harvest.
That's right. That's right. So when we're talking about seasons of control, when the plow breaks, when the horse doesn't move, when your financial gain is not coming in at the same rate that it did at one time, how do you control that situation? When things start going awry, how do you control that situation? Well, that's what we're going to give you today is we're going to talk about some of those things of how do you still stay in full control of those situations? Because here's the thing about what you just said, Will, but when the plow break, when the horse doesn't plow, when the batteries go out, and things like that, when things break and you weren't prepared for it, we want you to be prepared for it. And that's how you prepare for it, is knowing that whatever can happen will happen, right? And wherever you are, and there are things that are going to happen that are beyond your control. But when you are in control of your life right now, and you are in control of your finances, then having the proper plan will help you be prepared for the unexpected.
Absolutely.
And so case in point, we had pandemic. Very few of us were really prepared. We didn't know that was coming, right? But here's the thing about having a financial advisor like Mr. Wilbert Hamilton and Hamilton Wealth Advisors is stays plugged in like Isaiah in Isaiah chapter 50 and verse 4. The second part of that verse about being in season says that he wakened me morning by morning and wakened mine ear to hear as to learn, meaning that God prepares us even when we don't see what is coming.
Yes.
And so that's why you need to have a financial advisor like Wilbert Hamilton and Hamilton Wealth Advisors, somebody that not only knows and understands all the financial information that needs to be and has all of the credentials that he needs, but also one that is plugged into God and is able to hear from the voice of God. So when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about how you can control your seasons of financial gain or whether that's lack. See you back shortly. Yeah, so that's something that I'm passionate about.
Man, you need my opinion. I sure got
Yeah.
plenty of them. I sure would tell you.
Well, I think I think that's what's missing. I think a lot of times is we got to take some of what used to happen, what we used to do, but then we got to apply it. Because one thing I can't say, my mom, she had us in church. They were a lot more committed than I feel like we are to the church, and to, being present. I know my mom was way more committed than me and my family are right now to the building of the church. I ain't trying to throw a wife on. So yeah, but that just is what it is. When you don't, life has gotten in the way of a lot of things that we do now, and the structure that we used to have, the togetherness that we used to have. I think that's kind of, gone by the wayside to a certain extent. And everything a lot of stuff has become a show. Not that that's what's turned a lot of us off from the church. Like I can say, I know, like my wife, for example, she's easily turned off by things that she sees when, she sees the certain church organizations, and it becomes more of a fashion show. It becomes more of a competition between wives and what you wearing and what you got on and that kind of stuff. Like she's so against that. Like she's so just easy going and laid back. She's like, if we doing this, I'm more about the development of the kids. I'm more about the church. I'm more about, these things. And that was a big turnoff for even with certain organizations that we have. We've been involved in, I grew up in Jack and Jill. I've, been involved in a lot of different organizations. I obviously member of fraternity. My wife is a member of, of course, AKA. So, we've been around in just the organizations overall. I think a lot of them have changed as far as, what they do. Obviously, the foundational principles are still the same. I just don't think we execute them the same way. I think, but that can go back to what you said, is us being more present and us being accountable. Because I definitely can, hold myself accountable. I have not been as accountable as I need to be in that space. I can definitely say that I haven't been. That is an area where I've fallen short. In my opinion, my opinion, it is what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. I've fallen short in that area from a church standpoint, and I feel like at times I've used what I like or dislike as an excuse. As to why I didn't attend or didn't like certain things. Like I had a motto. I would say, if I ain't growing, I'm going. Like when I moved back home after I finished college, and I was going to, my church I grew up in, and I told my parents, man, I'm not getting what I need no more. Like I'm not getting fed here. I got to go somewhere else. And, I started driving 45 minutes to go to Pastor Carter's church, and I'm driving from Montgomery to Opelika just to go to church every Sunday to get what I need, but I think that's somewhere along the line, that same energy and passion I have for myself, I feel like I've dropped the ball when it comes to my family because of just life. Obviously it's not on purpose, but it's just life and going here, going there, having 3 sons running around all the time. And, just like, man, I just want to sleep in one day, got to get up on Saturday morning,
That's
have works out some practice. So, that's one of those things that, I think, I can be better at. I can set a better example in. But also I think, our churches can help. I'm one of them people that's easily turned off by certain things. I'm very, Eddie knows this. I'm very cognizant of who I take my message from. If you ain't living it, I can't take it from you. I just can't. That's just me. I just, to each his own. But if you ain't walking it, like you talk it, I just can't follow behind you. And there's certain things that, in today's day and time that obviously the church has got involved in, that the church has always been involved in. But I just think that the leadership in times has been so wishy-washy for me now. Because obviously politics is super involved in, it's everywhere now, from a political standpoint. And our pastors have gotten even more involved in politics, where they was always involved in politics in the past. This is where, Dr. King and all these people, Andrea, all these people have been super involved, always in politics from a leadership perspective. They were in the ministry, but they weren't acquiescing, in my opinion, to go along to get along. I can't do the go along to get along game. I see a lot of pastors, acquiescing for, certain resources. And my thing is, it's okay with having conversations with people on either side. It's okay if you, want to have a understanding. But when you are doing things and I can see it solely for personal gain or benefit, or it's purely financially motivated, that's when I have an issue and you don't stand on it. For me, I've seen pastors, go to the White House. I've seen pastors make statements, supporting an administration that is, said negative things about us. And I'm like, I can't in no way, shape, form, or fashion. And I'm a man first. You can't disrespect me and my family and then turn around and think you're going to get my support. It's just not going to happen. I can't, the double talking is what I don't, like. I've seen a lot of them try to backtrack once they get certain backlash, and they've gone and they've done certain things and went and had conversations, and they've said it was for the benefit. I was just trying to see what they can do for the church and for the organization. And then they, get some backlash, and all of a sudden, they say, well, if I'd have knew that, we would have reacted this way, well, maybe I wouldn't have went. But I'm like, but you use God to justify your going. But once you didn't get the reception that you wanted, and you didn't get the benefits that you like, all of a sudden you're saying that you wouldn't have gone if your congregation gonna react this way. I'm like, well, if God told you to go, you go, regardless of the backlash.
With the conversation.
Exactly, regardless of the conversation. The backlash is the backlash.
And you continue to go and do
exactly
what's necessary, because if God is in it, then that's what defines your passion.
Absolutely.
That's what defines your drive and why it provides your why. Right? Why are you doing what you're doing? How are you doing it? And so that's why we're here today talking about passion, endurance, perseverance, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Passion and perseverance and endurance in doing the things that we need to do, and having that commitment to God, is key. So with what Will said, Mike, how does God fit into your passion and what you do?
This might be very controversial.
Go ahead.
But Minister Louis Farrakhan says, study from the cradle to the grave. So I study every facet. And again, I try to meet people where they are. You know what I'm saying? I cling to the kids that need or have a chip on their shoulder. Don't give me the superstars. Give me the damaged goods. Mm-hmm. The kid that is on the cusp, or the kid who the coach can get through, who the coach can talk to, or the kid that's getting overlooked and undervalued. Give me all of them, because they need a voice too. And I'm not one of these people like, well, God told me this. Well, I feel like I'm moved. I have a discerning spirit. I feel like I can read people. And I just, again, man, you just put your arm around some of these kids, man. I got a call Friday from one of my kids. He's in college. His dad is terminally ill. Just stayed on the phone. He just cried. Mm-hmm. I'm just holding the phone. And and we know, we don't go through life trials and tribulations for ourselves. We go through them from somebody else. So, again, I've lost both of my parents. My mom 3 years ago. I know we don't pick our parents. Mm-hmm. I pick that lady every time. Mm-hmm. Man, best woman in the man. It ain't a day that I don't miss her, don't think about her. But me going through that, and my brothers going through it, and us talking through it, man, you get a chance to help so many other kids. Time heals all. But, at the moment when you lose somebody, man, you're angry, you're mad at God, you don't want to talk, it changes you as a person. But again, God gonna come back and he gonna knock. You know, never forsake you. I never leave you. And just knowing that these kids have that comfort, that's where I show up at, man. So I don't do it in the very much the traditional way. I cuss like a sailor, but I don't ever belittle or demean any of these kids. And it's just that I'm that uncle who gives it straight to him with no chaser. Boy, that girl ain't no good, boy. Hey, you know, hey, I'm telling you now, you know, or, hey, man, your homeboy ain't really your friend, bro. You know, they ain't really clapping for you. Pay attention, keep your grass cut so you can see all the snakes. You know, little gems here and there. And you got to let these kids know it's their ideas. Make it seem like it's their idea. Oh, I came up with it. Hey, Coach Mike, because even his son, Gold, we talk about all the time. I said, so if your dad leaves you a multi-million-dollar business, do you think he wants you to run it into the ground, or double or triple what it has at? So do you think he's going to give you any bad advice? No, sir. So why don't you listen? That's common sense. You don't hang out with me. You don't drink beer with Coach Mike. You only know me because of what you've read about me. But, you know, it's just like anything else. I got to tell these kids, your parents are the only ones who want to see you do better than anybody else on the face of this earth. Why would they want you to? And, well, coach this and coach that. My coach is. Well, before your parents talk to your coach, tell your parents to go to practice. That's going to tell me whether you playing or not. You know, I don't know any coach that just wants to go out there and lose on purpose. Now, you have a few, you have a certain occasions, but for the most, I don't know anybody who wants to wake up and lose.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good, man. That's helping the kids find their passion and realize who's really behind you.
Yes.
Who's really supporting you. Okay, you got God, you got and then God has blessed your parents to have you and bless you to have your parents. Like you said, hey, you know, rest in peace to your mother, but you weren't able to choose her. But if you could, you'll pick her every time. You know what I'm saying? Because you understand as you get older the valuable lessons that you learned through the experience with her, the love that was shared, the care that was there has helped you become who you are. Right. And as you said earlier about, you know, when she was diagnosed with cancer and you said, you know what? Hey, you're going to see me play football on television.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? So that sounds like part of the defining passion for you that, okay, much like Will, the guy that mainly played basketball, but then, you know what I'm saying, football drove you into the college career.
Yeah.
Right. And then having that driving force of what's going on, the challenge with your mother, you know, and what she was fighting, and you going and utilizing that, you know, as the fuel to push you to be successful. So now, what's driving you now, Mike? What's the driving force? I hear the kids, but what's internally with Mike that's driving Mike? And the reason I ask this, Mike, is because our listeners as well need to have an understanding that, yes, we can utilize other people for motivation, right? And we definitely need to be rooted and grounded in our faith in God. That's why we come in this podcast as well in doing what we do. But then also, there has to be a certain amount of selfishness with us too, right? Because we are people. We have needs and we have things that we like to see, not only see the success of the kids, but what is the success for Mike?
I'm going to make a lot of money. It's just going to throw that out there. Mike going to have some money. So that's part of it. But Frederick Douglass has a quote, and it has stuck with me since the first time I ever heard it. Knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave.
You know what? I think that's very key based on what's going on right now today. We got a lot of people that's struggling to survive. SNAP benefits just got cut off, getting furloughed. And we talk about all the time about, of course, how knowledge is power, seeking professional help, you know, asking God to reveal your passion and your purpose to you. Once you have your passion and purpose revealed to you, at that point in time, that unlocks what you just said, being unfit to be a slave. Because now you working for something that's greater than you.
That's
You
it.
see, when God give you a vision and give you a passion, and it creates something innately in you that you know it ain't just about you no more. This thing is bigger than you. And it's something that I'm even going to say to you that I've heard just sitting here listening. And I know you have the idea of who you want to help. But one thing I've learned about God is that what you want don't matter to him. He see who he wants you to help. Now, the kids that you put your arm around, you're going to continue to put your arm around it. But I can hear and I see him saying, he wants you to put your arm around some 5-stars too.
Right.
Because see, that same thing that we give it to the others, they not getting it either. They getting fed a lot of lies. They getting coddled. They getting told what they want to hear, not what they need to hear too. Because the world has become a lot softer place. Because the world is not, what it used to be when we were growing up, where, it was the competitive spirit was so high all the time. When the 3-star was going to compete against the 5-star and show him why he deserved to be the 5-star. Now, that's not consistent all the time, because the love and passion for sports is not the same as what it used to be. More people are playing because of what the game can do for you, as opposed to the love of the game. Where we came up, the finances were not what they are now. So we played because we just loved it. I love to compete. My competitive spirit was who I defined myself as a man. Who I became was based on how I whooped your behind on this football field on Friday night. That's how people saw me when they walked in the mall on Saturday evening. That's what we got from it. Now the game has changed a little bit, and you still have those kids that love to compete that way. And that's what separates a lot of them from being special versus being average. But because of people like yourself and the training and the benefits that you're adding to so many other kids as well, you have more kids that are getting the opportunity to go to the next level. So we're all thankful for that. But that separator is something that has to be instilled in you. And I can hear and see that you have the ability, even if that ain't your goal. Because see, I'm in a similar situation, but just in a different field.
Yeah.
I've always said what I didn't want to do and what I wasn't trying to do, but I find myself in a position doing exactly what I said I wasn't trying to do.
Yeah.
But it's funny how God has kind of molding us and shaping us all the time and putting us in position so he can use us to our max capacity and ability. Because in order to make your voice go where he wants it to go, he got to put you with some of the best of the best. Yeah, you're going to put your arm around everybody. You're going to give everybody the best version of you, because that's who you are as a man. That's who you are as a coach. That's who you are as a trainer. You're going to always put your best foot forward, because that's how you design. But at the same time, in order for your message to grow, you have to be open to putting your arm around some of those others as well. And this is me talking to myself.
Yeah,
this is what I do a lot of times. This is what I do a lot of times. I have to, I work through this. Our Monday morning worship session. We are, it's ironic how sometimes people are putting your life to reveal certain things to you. And when you can see something in somebody else that's similar to what you have, but also it's easy for us to identify what somebody else is not doing, but then being able to use that almost as a mirror reflection of saying, okay, well, you're doing the same thing, just in a different way. You're running away. And I probably spent a lot of time in my life probably running away what God has called me to do. But I'm going to leave that alone for right now. And I'm not going to allow the minister of faith to jump in before we come right back at you in a minute.
I'm your co-host, Mr. Eddie Richardson, here with our host and owner of Hamilton Wealth Advisors, Mr. Wilbert Hamilton. And the question today is health truly wealth. So with that, we've been, talking about how we grew up, how we ate, then also just dealing with the reality of facing ourselves and taking care of our spiritual health, our physical health, so that we can have our wealth managed as well. And the key to all of this is the fact that in the United States, healthcare costs are out through the roof, right? They're, medications and nursing homes and all of these types of things are the realities that we must face as we continue to grow older. And all of us have a desire to grow older, and but how we grow old is what we're attacking today.
Yes.
Right. And then also not only how we grow old, but then also how much wealth do you have as you grow old? It's a major key, because there are all type of numbers that, we have to look at, right? Social Security, a lot of people, as a result of their health challenges, not being in good health, they can't work as long.
Exactly.
So they end up taking their Social Security at the first opportunity that they have to take it.
Well, not just the first opportunity. You got to think about it. If we don't work as long, that means if we have some physical ailment, we're not working as much, which also means we taking it sooner. And there's also a lot less to work for too.
Yeah, that's a fact. I didn't think about that part. So not only is Social Security not where it could be, but you're taking it early, so you're not even working it out as long as you could. So, talk to us about how should we manage our finances better when it comes to our health as a result of these types of challenges when we're getting into living longer or desire to live longer, but even shorter, as you just said, because we're not taking care of our health.
Yeah, well, like I say, at the beginning of everything, we got to write it down and make a plan. We got to create a plan of action. So whether it's financial plan, workout plan, a spiritual plan, we got to have all of them. All of them are very necessary in order to be successful in this day and age. And, we've talked about earlier how, the United States is the leading nation in the world when it comes to different types of chronic illnesses and diseases. We are also the most expensive country in the world when it comes to healthcare costs. And, to give an example, the average American is expected to pay $172,000. That's $172,000 in their lifetime in retirement for just necessary healthcare costs.
Wow.
That's your copays. That's your Medicare Part A and B and Medicare Part D. That's your Medicare supplement. These are just necessary essentials to have any type of basic health care coverage. The average cost in retirement for most individuals is going to be approximately $172,000. Now, key word I said was the essential costs. Well, that doesn't cover dental visits, doesn't cover eye doctors. It doesn't cover nursing home health care. It doesn't cover specialists if you have to see certain type of specialists depending on what your ailment or situation may call for. Rehabilitation from something that you may have. And we think about as you get older, things happen. You probably need to go to the dentist a little more.
Yeah.
Your eyes getting a little worse, so you need to go to the eye doctor. These things are not covered. So you think about that $172,000 in mandatory costs, essentially, that you're going to have. And think about what you need to have in addition to that to cover the costs that are unforeseen. Because the unforeseen costs always trump and outweigh the seen costs.
Yeah.
Because that unforeseen cost comes when we can least afford it and least expect it. The unforeseen cost means that something has happened outside of the norm, which has probably created an unfamiliar, unplanned situation, circumstance, which usually costs me more money. Someone having heart attack, stroke, cancer. Okay, what does that create? Because all of a sudden, you're probably not working for a little while, which means your income is taking a hit, which means also your expenses have now gone up because of the care, the medicine, the rehab, all those things. If you have a knee replacement or, hip replacement, these things are very commonplace nowadays. But guess what? There's some costs that come along with those things. So understanding that you have to plan financially, you have to plan spiritually, and you have to plan also medically when it comes to living here, because we know costs of healthcare are rising faster than anything else in the United States because the number of diseases and ailments are rising. So the good thing about that, though, is because of technology, they're helping you figure out a way to live longer with it.
Yeah.
So they can get more money from you. So, it's always been funny. Some people say, they're not here to cure disease. They just want to help you live with the disease.
Yeah.
So they can continue to make more money on you. So this is why we're talking to you today about eating better, working out more, taking control of your health and your wealth. Because if you can put those two things simultaneously hand in hand, you can have a pathway forward where you're taking back some of that wealth and putting it back where you want to put it, not having to put it where life is pushed you into. Because we fail to take care of the health. At some point in time, it's going to affect your wealth.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some ailments and some things that's going to kick in that are going to come up that you have to now account for. If you have high cholesterol, what does that lead to? If you have high blood pressure, what does that lead to? If you have if you're diabetic, what does that lead to? So all these things lead to something. But we do know all these things can be changed with our diet. So are we making the necessary changes? And yeah, granted, some people have things that are hereditary and certain illnesses that there's no way around.
Yeah.
But even for those people, they're given a plan of action from the doctor on certain foods to stay away from and certain foods to take more of. So we still have some power and control over how we manage what's been put in front of us.
Yeah.
So, and we all can do a better job of managing what we have. We got to manage our money.
Yeah.
We got to manage our time. We got to manage our diet. We got to manage, our life. We got to manage our spiritual relationship with Christ. And if we do a better job of just managing all those areas, we do a better job of seeking professional help in all of those areas. And seeking professional help creates some accountability in all of those areas. See, and really at the end of the day, that's what most of us are running away from.
Yeah.
We run away from that accountability.
Yeah.
We don't want that spiritual father, that spiritual mother, that spiritual counselor to check us and ask us, what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you doing? We don't want that workout trainer to ask us, what did you eat this weekend? Did you go walk? Did you go run? Did you get your workout in? What did you do? Did you enjoy yourself a little bit too much when you went to Bama State homecoming this weekend? Did you enjoy yourself too much when you went to Miles homecoming? Did you enjoy yourself too much when you went back home for your family reunion? What did you do? Did you stay on track and on target, or did you fall off the wagon a little bit? And if you fell off the wagon, it's okay. Because as long as you got breath in your body, you got time to get back up and get back home. So, just because you take a loss today, don't mean you have to stay defeated tomorrow.
Yeah.
We want you to know you can still get back up and get back on track and get back on plan and get back on target to make sure that we maximize. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want to do. We want to maximize our time here on earth to do what God has called us to do.
Yeah.
My goal is to say, at some particular point in time, when I see the Lord after I'm 90 plus and I've lived a life happy and healthy, he say, hey, well done, my good and faithful servant. The goal is for him to say, well done. Well, will he say well done if I'm not making sure that I do everything that I can do right now? Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't want to find out, though. I want to do a better job
That's
of
right.
making sure that I'm following him. So, when I get paid, I make sure I pay that tithe first. I make sure that, hey, you know what? This weekend I got up, I didn't feel like it, but I went and stopped at the track and say, let me get this mile in. Let me get this walk in right quick. When I take my sons to the gym, I put my shoes in the car with me. So while they're in the gym practicing their basketball, I can go outside to the parking lot and get my walk home. So just trying to be more active and intentional about doing better and making sure that we're listening and honoring God in every way, shape, form, or fashion. And if we truly have a heart after him, then we'll automatically do a better job at honoring him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And What comes to mind, Will, is Proverbs 22:3 that says, "A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished." Meaning that when you are prudent, when you are considering your ways, you'll see the wrong and then you'll hide yourself from it. Meaning that you'll guard yourself, you'll protect yourself from it. It's much like what you said with having a plan in place of how we're going to eat, how we're going to manage our spiritual lives, how we're going to discipline ourselves to live the life that God desires for us to live. That's what prudence comes in. But when you're simple-minded, you're just going to pass on and you're glutton for punishment.
Yes.
You don't mind, the suffering, right? You mind it, but you say, hey, I'm going to get it anyway. Right. I'm going to eat this anyway, even though I know it's not good for me. Right. And that's what's happening a lot of times. We do not want to be prudent. We do not want to take on the discipline. And the scripture talks about that prudence because I believe that God has addressed everything in the scriptures. In any type of way, shape, or form that we live, there is some scripture that can apply to our lives in that way, where God has provided guidance for us. And we don't desire to follow the guidance. We don't want to listen to the teachings of God. We don't want to listen to the teachers that God has provided for us in the world. And so we want to impress upon you as you strive to answer the question, is health truly wealth? We pray that your answer is yes, that yes, health is truly wealth, and that you will make a decision after listening to us today in this show that I am going to manage my health better so that I can be wealthy. Because if I have good health, then there's no limit to how much wealth I can earn.
Absolutely.
Right? There's no limit to what type of relationships that I can have in the world. There's no limit to what type of worship I can give unto God when I have my physical health intact. And when I have that frame of mind, then now that's where true prosperity comes in.
Well, absolutely. And I think a lot of times because we don't plan what we want the end to look like, we end up neglecting the beginning. And financially, we talked about that $172,000 that's just mandatory cost. But if we think about the average cost of a in-home healthcare assistant, to care for someone on average right now is about $50,000 a year. The price of a assisted living facility on average is almost $100,000. Now we're talking about average. We're not talking about you getting the type of care and concern that you really want. That's going to cost you $120,000 and above. And these are the prices right now today. And healthcare is one of the fastest rising industries from an inflation standpoint of any industry around. We're talking about excess of probably inflation around 7%. So understanding what the costs are now, and if you have planned for the future and you've taken those costs into account, and you have to understand your position in your situation. Women, I hate to say it, but it's probably more important that they have long-term care insurance than men do. Just if we look at the statistics and the numbers, usually if it's a husband and wife, usually the man passes first. That's just what the numbers say, And if the man passes first, the man has been blessed because he got a wife there by his side. He got somebody to hold his hand. He got somebody to take care of him. But if he passes away first, now that wife is left at home by herself, who's there to care for mama? See, we talked about this one time before. Have you planned for mama? We got to ask ourselves, did mama plan for herself? We got to make sure that, husband and wife are doing their responsibility, not just to themselves, but also to their kids. Because it can be somewhat selfish to say, well, my kids are going to take care of me. Who said your kids going to have time to take care of you? Yeah. Your kids not raising their kids. They're taking care of their family. Then they got their own responsibilities they have now. It's not your kids' responsibility to take care of you. Yeah. It's your responsibility to take care of them and then take care of yourself. Yeah. Now, granted, we do hope that you got some good kids and your kids will step in and help and assist. if need be. But you cannot depend on your kids. And also, you better not be dependent on this system. Because as we see now, there have been cuts that have been made in healthcare and a number of things across the board in the United States of America. And they're always looking to continue to make more cuts. So understand the lay of the land and where you live. Is it a red state? Is it a blue state? Are they more likely or less likely to cut your benefits and cut any aid that you could possibly receive if you need assistance? So don't think about it as if, should I plan for the future? You better plan for the future. Or else you're going to put yourself in a situation where somebody else is going to be dictating your future to you.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you itemize every single thing that you need to do spiritually, physically, and when it comes to your finances.
Absolutely.
And having a definitive plan laid out for how you're going to attack these things, how you're going to manage these things, and don't avoid them, because avoidance does not cause something to go away. Right? It actually exacerbates the situation. When we don't address it, when we first see it, that little drip ends up becoming a run. And that drip ends up beating a hole into that cement to the point that that cement cracks. And now the foundation is torn up.
Yes.
And so we have to manage ourselves better in that way. So we'll also, when we talk about these things here, how can we really look at health investments? Like, are there certain things that we can invest in better when it comes to our retirement, having certain things, health investments?
Certain companies offer HSAs, health savings accounts. It's operates similar to your 401k, where you can defer money into and be able to utilize for certain health related costs. Also, there's, certain life insurance policies have what we call critical and chronic illness riders on them, where, some of them have long-term care riders on them. So if you have the right type of life insurance, you have certain benefits that are built in. Also, there are separate long-term care policies. So if you want to make sure that you're not a burden to your family, you can save and you can purchase a long-term care policy that would actually cover the cost. If you were to go into a nursing home, if you were to go into an assisted living facility, if you want to stay in your home and have home health care, you actually can purchase a long-term care policy that will cover those costs in the event that you are unable to perform two of your daily activities of living, where you are now classified as needing long-term care assistance. So we have to understand that there are a number of ways to plan and prepare. And a good financial advisor responsibility is to see what you don't see, is to plan for the unforeseen. My job as a financial advisor is to plan for the worst and then hope for the best. Most of y'all out here talking to financial advisors, they're selling your dreams, trying to invest the best, but they never plan for the worst. So what happens if you have a living death instead of a physical death, which basically means that you're now in a position where you're still living, but you can't get up and go to work. You can't earn an income. So you're still here on earth. You're still living. You still got breath in your body. But now you got more bills coming in than you got income coming in. So now what position does it put you and your family in? What kind of strain and burden are you to those around you? So understand that when you're working with a financial advisor, a good financial advisor, he or she is going to make sure to uncover every stone, leaving nothing unturned. We're going to make sure that we plan and prepare. So in retirement, you're taken care of in good health and great health and no health and bad health and everything in between, because we don't know what God has in store for us. We don't know what example God is going to make of us. So we have to understand, we have to plan and prepare financially to make sure in the event of anything happening, that myself and my family is going to be taken care of, because I've taken the necessary steps to plan in good health and in bad. That's why in marriage they say in sickness and in health. And if you want to make sure she or he stay with you in sickness and in health, you better make sure you got some medical coverage along the way. We'll see you next time.
Yes, indeed.